The trackpad was the feature of the Steam controller that would be the first interesting change game controllers would have in 30 years. It had something that controllers have lacked for a while, an accessible and easy to use analog for a mouse on a traditional gamepad. Controllers have gotten stale as freak. I mean, just look at the DualShock 3 from 2007. I lied. This is the DualShock 2. Gotcha twice! This is the DualShock 1! The Xbox Series X controller is functionally the exact same as the Xbox 360 controller, except now it has a little share button in case you want to post your sick Fortnite clips on Twitter. But controllers, despite their lack of new features and innovation, aren't perfect. There's a reason barely anyone plays first-person shooters competitively on controller. There's a reason for aim assist existing. The controller just isn't enough to match up to keyboard and mouse here. It's not like controllers are some biological creature that slowly evolved here to eventually become a crab board and mouse. They went through rapid improvement within like 20 years. And then stopped. There has not been a real widespread change to this type of controller since the DualShock 1 that has stuck around. But then you look at the Steam controller and you think, damn, that looks different. And you may be thinking, okay, but what about the Wii Remote and the Joy-Cons? And don't get me wrong, there have been attempts. The Wii Remote was a revolution in the mid-2000s. Your grandma couldn't get enough of shaking that thing. And even PlayStation and Xbox tried to copy it in their own ways. The IR pointer was an actual analog to a computer mouse. You could play Call of Duty on the TV without the right stick. And you could swing the blocky TV remote and the bowling ball would move. What a novelty. But in the end, that's kind of what it ended up being. A novelty. It's not like the Steam controller has an IR pointer, and the last thing I want to do for a controller is set up a sensor bar for it. I mean, gyro is kinda stuck around, the DualShock 4 and the DualSense have it, and even the Steam controller, I promise we're gonna get to the Steam controller. Nintendo with the Joy-Con still have kept that motion control goodness, but people still usually avoid it like the plague. And I'll be damned before I use gyro over an analog stick. I will stand up and say that gyro is clunky and uncomfortable to use. There is nothing my shaky ass hands hate more than twisting and turning this grotesque shape. And clearly gyro ain't that popular considering it's still not in one of, if not the most popular controller for PC. At least Nintendo is still trying stuff like the mouse controls on the Joy-Cons. It's cool, but I ain't holding this tiny little thing like a mouse. And I'm definitely not using this as a mouse. So we reach the current day, and I see the Steam controller and its trackpads. Of course, it's technically been on the Steam Deck, but I do not have $400, so I never bought it. However, with this, I finally have the opportunity to try the trackpads. Trackpads are easy to learn. They've been in the laptops since the 80s, and they already serve to be an analog to a mouse. This may finally be the ticket to mouse level precision in the traditional gamepad. So I buy my Steam controller, I unbox it, I test it out, and it's not really what I expected. I realized I had failed to consider one thing. Trackpads have limited space, being bound to their edges. You see an analog stick, its analogness The degree of analog control is relatively low to a mouse. However, once you get to the utmost degree, you can move infinitely in that direction at a constant rate. You cannot do this with the trackpad. I mean, there's probably software solutions to simulate it, but you're not going to do it comfortably, and if you do it, you're probably going to lose some of the extra analog control aimed by the trackpad in the first place, making it kind of pointless. So in the end, using trackpads on a controller end up being a lot like using a really tiny mouse pad. Incredibly annoying. Valve tried to mitigate this issue using the trackball mode, where you swipe and let go on the trackpad and it acts like a sort of trackball with momentum, which works great for cursors on desktops and menus, but in regular gameplay, it can be annoying and disorienting. In first person, it looks like the character's head is on a swivel that's excessively lubed. So as I was experiencing this, I was like, I gotta rethink my whole idea for this video. Because originally I was thinking this video would be talking about how trackpads are the next revolution in game controllers. Every controller's gonna have a trackpad. The Nintendo Pro controller, that's $200. The DualSense 2, even Xbox is gonna cave. But I realized damn, I spent $100 on this video for nothing. But that's not entirely true. The trackpads still have very good uses. I just had to reorient my perspective. With games like City Skylines or The Sims 4, the trackpad works great. Nothing is worse than using a goddamn analog stick on The Sims, let me tell you. So the trackpad was an amazing change of pace. And the Steam controller is a Peggle machine. And for emulating Wii and DS games, it works great too. Playing Super Mario Galaxy with something that I don't have to fondle is a very good experience. And for DS, well, it's less ideal, but I'd rather do this than some hacky method or switching to my computer mouse. So in games where the mouse simply serves as a cursor of sorts, the trackpad works great. But it's just in those situations. Clearly, this isn't the product I had hyped up in my head. This wasn't the game changer that would create ripples throughout future controllers like I thought initially. So what will end up changing controllers? So after some thinking, I wondered, have we already reached peak game controller? Obviously not, but in terms of monumental industry changing jumps, is there nothing left? I mean, the trackpads definitely aren't an industry changer. Gyro is definitely more impactful, and I fucking hate gyro. Ugh. And honestly, yeah, the Steam controller is just kind of an amalgamation of all that gamepads have to offer now. And the trackpads are nice, but they prove there isn't much to impactfully iterate on the traditional controller. Despite my anger that controllers will never reach the precision of a mouse while maintaining its accessibility, it's just the truth. Unless we somehow create a completely new concept of what a controller is, that isn't the Kinect, we probably will not have any more huge jumps. It's not like we haven't had new concepts. The Wii Remote is definitely an example of that. But clearly it didn't have enough benefits or impact to spread everywhere. Don't get me wrong, I think it's possible to make a real big difference, but I doubt it's too likely, especially in the near future. For there to be a real change, it would have to come from both games and controllers, because if a feature comes out but isn't utilized, it won't make a difference. But it's not like keyboard and mouse isn't missing things from controller. There's no analog buttons on a keyboard and mouse. Driving games still are best on a controller, other than sim wheels, because you know, it's a fucking steering wheel. And controllers still have the nicest experience away from a desk. I'm not going to do some TV dinner ass setup just to play Half-Life on my couch or my bed. So you just gotta live with their respective pros and cons. And honestly, is this a real issue? This whole video is basically a straw man argument. Who cares? Well, I guess I care. Hi there. I just want to say some quick thoughts before y'all left this video. This is not meant to be a hate piece toward the Steam controller. I think it's a genuinely great piece of hardware, and it's going to be my primary controller for PC gaming. Anyway, hope y'all good. Bye-bye.